Oh, hey, I didn't hear you come in. Now, please take some time out of your Saturday morning to please welcome yourself to another exciting installment of the official Riders on the Storm group YouTube channel. Now, as I said, welcome yourself in, grab a seat, make yourself comfortable, and thanks for coming out. Also, thank you to those who have sent out the invitations to the newcomers. I noticed a few new faces, some not so new, some great to have back into the group. It's really built part of the dynamic aspect of this group, and what I have to say is that I love the way things are popping. We got a lot of people slapping hands, a lot of opinions and facts, a lot of thumbs being thrown around too. I love that we support one another like that. All for one for all. One of you win. I feel like I've won partially, and I'd like to believe that you feel the same way. Now, I've also, speaking of popping, decided that I'll be popping around this place in different rooms presenting this, but overall, this is probably my main domain. Main domain. I like that. Anyway, and you know why. I don't even have to point it out, but this bad boy really ties into sports, the chilling, the pub, and we got that a lot of times with this guy right here. Will be speaking a little something. I like him. He's my favorite one. Anyway, before I go another minute and a half without talking about sports at all, which you will probably have to get used to. I'll do that on a lot of these videos, kind of chatty. Anyway, looking ahead at Saturday morning, we've been given the opportunity to kind of see a preview of what to expect in the AM for the first time since these videos have started. Now, Streakmaster or SM, which, by the way, let's go ahead and put in the comments below or maybe back in the group some suggestions about what to call Streakmaster, SM. I really hate both those terms, but it's something that we all kind of be speaking of. Anyways, what the giver has offered us on Saturday morning is a couple of EPL props. Now, myself, I probably won't be picking them. I think what a lot of folks will be doing is trying to make up for the red they got on Friday night with both those MLB props that I kind of suggested to avoid, but to each their own. Chances are I'll probably have a red by picking the Sharks to go ahead 2-0 in Vancouver. Logically it's a foolish move, but I really feel that Luongo was the right person to fade. Anyways, I'm talking about pass by now, by the time you're reading this, seeing this, hearing this, and feeling this. Moving on, what I was saying is, a lot of people try to be making up for that red they got, and they'll be seeing the EPL, something that most folks are not very familiar with. They'll hear the name Tottenham Hotspur, and they'll go with that against a generic-sounding team like Southampton. I mean, they're at home, and even though they got that 2+ goal, I think a lot of folks will get that. I think that will be a sheep pick, and I think it's the wrong angle to take. I think Southampton's very underrated, and Tottenham is very overrated. Honestly, like I said, not a big soccer follower myself, so I'm not going to go into all the stats and teams, because honestly, I don't know. But just being honest, if I have to get advice for this, I'd say skip this 2-goal advantage. I really think that Southampton not only pulls out the win DSB1 and the win DSB1, I think they actually pull out the straight-up draw against Tottenham. I think they'll do that. I think it'll be 1-1 by the end of this thing, and I suggest you skip the 2+ if you really feel like taking the 2+ on Saturday, which we'll get into why you shouldn't. Right after I say what you should take if you want the 2+, is you go with Arsenal on the road with QPR. Now, again, this is going to be one of those other sheep traps. A lot of folks will be like, oh, QPR, they suck. They're not playing Chelsea. But QPR are actually pretty tough at home. They pull off a lot of upsets, odds-wise. And I feel like, the loss by 1 is very likely. But Arsenal, they'll fucking be gunning against Rangers here. And I'd suggest if you have to go with 2+, go with the Arsenal team. Some of you in this group, that's your favorite team, and you'll be backing it on preference alone. And I hope I'm sure some of you will post some more valid arguments for this pick. But this is just kind of a segue to what I'll actually be picking Saturday morning, is the hockey prop. Now, I really think that Rangers at Capitals will end the same way Game 1 did, with the Capitals pulling up ahead. However, I'm not nearly as excited about my confidence in this one. Before, I was pretty much locked dead, certain that Capitals were the right pick. It turned out that way. Not saying it's always going to do that, but I will say that I was happy to see that result, and I expect the same result here in Game 2. However, my confidence is being affected by the fact that Rangers are going to be getting a lot more depth to the lineup. A few named players, including Boyle, will be re-added to the team that they did not have in Game 1. Also Dorsett, and I think Clove might be coming back too. We'll have to find out at game time, but overall this really just kind of spells 1-1 pulling even sort of scenario. That being said, in case you didn't see Game 1, it was pretty atrocious as far as official calls go, the officiating in other words. It was kind of fair, going both ways, but a lot of bad calls. A lot of the game is played man down or 4-on-4. It's pretty sloppy, a bad representation of what this series is going to be. However, Rangers did go up first, which disappointed a lot of fans of the Caps because I think right before that, Caps were outshooting the Rangers by far, something like 11-2, 11-1 at one point. And the Rangers pulled ahead. And right after that, it ended, in the first frame. Second frame, Capitals went back right on the dominating streak, pulled up even, and then Lundqvist really kind of let in a couple softies. That first goal, and then the second goal was actually a really good play. It was a big 1-2. Capitals very much deserved that one. Kind of gave them a bit of confidence, which reflected on the next goal because Lundqvist just lost this. I think about a minute later, left in this big disappointing goal, and really kind of put a damper on the Rangers' mood. Like I said, they were a little shorthanded of talent and depth, so they didn't really have what it takes to come back. During the regular season, the Rangers were one of the worst teams at making comebacks to deficits, and that definitely translated to the postseason. Capitals, once they smell blood in the water, they attack. They're very much focused on the offense, while the Rangers are focused on the defense. They prefer to keep the game low scoring. Now, towards the end of the season, they did have some big, high-scoring games. I really don't know what to attribute that to. Just some good chemistry. They were determined to make it to the postseason after a very disappointing season. That being said, I think Capitals pulled this off 3-2. Not nearly as confident I was in the first one, but I do think Capitals do it. Rangers are going to have to win at home, and I think they will. I don't think this will be a 1-1 tie. I think when they'll be tied, it'll be 2-2 on the way back to Washington. Both these teams very much dominate at home. I think this will go all the way to the seventh game, as I said before, with Rangers just nipping it in the bud there at the end. And if you got to go with that one, I suggest you follow me on the Capitals. Arguments both ways. Lundqvist, again, is one of those goalies that can just single-handedly win the game. And he very may well do that. But Holtby overall just had a stronger effort in the first game. Lundqvist looked a little bit hapless, especially with how sluggish his team came out. And Rangers will do that. Rangers have done that, and the fact that they did do that was not a great thing. Capitals definitely took advantage of that. I think they'll continue to take advantage of that unless the Rangers do benefit from the surge of depth and personnel that they'll be getting here in the second game. After that, you got a long stretch of MLB games in the early afternoon. Not going to go as in-depth as I did before with all these props because that 21-minute video is kind of ridiculous. I want to keep most of these around 10, 12 minutes. I'll say the Reds, I really think will go into Chicago and take that one. Singrati is, you haven't heard him. Probably haven't heard him because I said his name wrong. But he's very much the candidate to be taking this game home. Ironic phrasing. I really just fucked this prop up. But the Cubs just don't have the batting. They don't have it. Singrati's been getting the win. He's one of those go-to guys as far as fantasy is concerned. In fact, I just acquired him onto my fantasy team. Chances are that if I've done that, I'll have a little bit bias towards him, just like Burnett and the Pirates, but we all know how that turned out. And moving on, we got Twins at the Indians. That's just another game that you want to avoid. Mariners, Jays. Again, you want to lean towards Blue Jays at home, but the way Dickey's been playing, a lot of public for a long time has really liked these knuckleball pitchers. He's just lost his control this season. Not somebody you want to back confidently. Mariners actually have an advantage here, in my opinion, but we all know how they play. Similarly, we all know how the Brewers play. It doesn't matter who they put on the mound. They don't have the bats to follow up, especially when faced against teams like St. Louis Cardinals. And Wainwright's actually a pretty solid guy. I think that's a winning combination right there if you're going to be going for the early afternoon baseball. mid-afternoon baseball, you could say. Go with the Cardinals. MLS, not entirely sure about that one. I really think that probably 97% of people are going to be on the Red Bulls, and rightfully so. They've got the draw. That's going to be a big draw for the public to be picking that one. I think it's a trap. I think Columbus is going to go ahead and take the win. And I'm just going on pure assumption of the fact that this is on Street for the Cash. After that, you got a couple derbies with the horse farm animals, and you know my sentiment on this. Both of these, any other horses, probably going to win except for the one that everybody's on, which looks to be so far the first one with Wise Dan being the lone contestant, whereas the other one has two. So some people are like, oh, I'll take that one. But really, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of these right now with any other horse winning. I think something about 75 to 78% of any other horse options have won historically in Streak with Cash. So if you're going to be taking the horses, got to go with any other one of them besides the one offered, because those are just the odds favorites. And if any of you have ever been to a horse race, dog race, anything like that, the odds favorites are just not the way to go all the time. It takes a little bit of research once you're there, but we don't have all those flyers. I don't have all those flyers. I'm just going to say go with any other horse. Next up, we got the Western Conference playoffs with the Anaheim Ducks at Detroit. Now, I don't know if any of you saw the first game, but the Red Wings actually looked like they were going to cruise through game two. Really just tied up easily. They went up 2-0 in the first, managed to get up 3-0, and then all of a sudden, Ducks mounted this huge comeback, really spoiled the Red Wings, who I think actually take the cake for the worst team at securing a lead. During the regular season, they lost a lot of big leads, a lot of comeback from behind losses they had, and they almost got one here when the Ducks forced overtime. However, towards the end of the game in regulation, Anaheim had a costly penalty put against them, which really kind of put a brakes on their comeback. I really think they would have secured that one. It'd be 2-0 right now, but Detroit, thankfully, because I have them picked, to advance. Went ahead and secured it within, I believe, something like a minute or something into the overtime. Don't know the exact time. Believe it or not, I'm not actually a database of information like my username implies. But right here in Detroit, honestly, I gotta say the Ducks have just looked like the better team. I want to say that Detroit, takes one or both these games at home, and they very likely will, but I think it will have to be just like the same, repeating the same pattern of winning the second game, because Ducks, they've been putting together a pretty impressive attack here. And Detroit, they're just, I don't know what it is. They need their veterans to step up. That's exactly what it is. I do know. They need the veterans to step up. They haven't been. I don't even know where Zetterberg has been, but as soon as they manage to do that, we'll see a little bit of sparks going off in this competition. Right now it's 1-1. I think Ducks upset them on the road. Now everybody's going to be on Detroit, so that's one of those ones you want to avoid. I think I'll probably avoid that just to make sure that I get that last pick in. Before I get into that, I'll go ahead and say the Rays at the Rockies. It's tough to back the Rays on the road. Doesn't matter who they put in. They have Morin, now they have Price in. They got some primetime premier pitching in that team, but they don't pull together wins on the road, and they don't have the bats to kind of secure the support they need for the pitchers. So when they do win, it'll be low-scoring games, which don't happen often at Colorado. Ergo, I think Colorado has the advantage here again at home. I'd go with them if you have to. Diamondbacks at Padres, just one of those things you got to avoid again. Both those teams, I think they match up very well considering the situation. If the roles were reversed, Arizona at home, I think Arizona would be the go-to. But seeing how it's at Padres, I think it's pretty even. That's just my opinion. And what I want to move ahead on to is the Kings at the Blues. Now, the first two games, we here at Riders on the report nailed that perfectly. The first two going to St. Louis. Went ahead and predicted the Blues were going to take the first two and the Kings would have to win at home. That played out, but also predicted that these are going to be low-scoring games. I mean, both of them 2-1, and being decided way into the game. First one in overtime, second one with something like a minute left in the third period, and Blues pulled ahead. That's just kind of going to be the vibe that these games are going off of. I think that Elliott really outperformed quick, hands down, and which is going to surprise a lot of folks, especially those that were just like, oh, champions are going to win again. Not necessarily the case in this series. However, I do think that the Kings go ahead and pull up, at least get a little bit of distance covered in this one at home. I have to say that St. Louis they play all the way through the end of the game. In the first two, getting big goals in the third period. But that's kind of been the Kings' forte as far as the play style has been. They've been a big come from behind win team, just like the Ducks did against the Red Wings. You're going to have to go ahead and pay a lot of attention to this series if you're going to want to predict it appropriately. But kind of losing steam here, so I'll just go ahead and wrap it up. Say I like the Kings. Definitely think they're not going to get swept. Certainly not going to get swept, and I don't think they'll go down 3. I'll probably be picking the Kings here. I like the Rockies at home again. I do like the Ducks on the road. I think they've just got a better squad right now. Not in the overall. I think Detroit really does have a better team, but I've not seen that yet. Really have to see it first before I believe it, as far as postseason goes. Cardinals again over the Brewers I like. The Reds over the Cubs, definitely something to look at. I don't think that would be a slaughter, as far as the stupid terminology goes within the discussion boards. I think the Yanks, the Bronx are good against Oakland. Don't think they travel well, especially cross country. A lot of time zones going in between them, even though they're staying there. I don't know, the time zone argument is pretty tangible. We can talk about that for a little while, but I think it's pretty effective to bring it up in an argument. But as I said, it's pretty tentative. Rangers Capitals, really think the Capitals pull it off. Take it back to New York with two win advantage. Put the pressure and the hurt on the Rangers. You're going to have to go with those two. Again, soccer is something, you're going to have to take care of yourself on. If you want to, please do correct me if I've said anything wrong in the comments below. It doesn't have to be an all sort of thing. Honestly, I don't even know if y'all watch these videos. I do see that you like them and stuff, and I love the support. Can't thank you enough. It'd be kind of awkward if I was just posting these and not getting any sort of recognition. Not saying that's what I'm doing them for, but it does help. And if you are watching these all the way through, that's fucking badass. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the group.